Good morning. Everything's yellow. Interesting. Good morning, beloveds. Okay. I don't know why everything's yellow or slightly yellow. It's very foggy out there. Like when we left to go to the park at 7:15, like the fog was very thick. When we left the park at 8:30 or 8:40-ish, the fog was still very thick. There was also a chance of rain, but I don't think that's going to happen. So, all right. We are doing your spiritual power. Let's do the housekeeping. And all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. Website is creativelife.org. Constant contact email, info@creativelife.org. That gets you one email a week unless something unusual happens, which is usually weather related. Tells you what's going on for the week and the month, and the hot links are hot. So if it says click here now, it means it. It is also a blind CC, which means nobody will see your email. You won't end up on anybody else's email list because of us. So, and then the last thing I'll mention is the social media, merely because we do not monetize it. We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead is to go like, subscribe, follow based on which platform you are on the pages, and then engage with the individual post by reacting to the post, commenting on the post, sharing the post. Bumps us in the algorithms, more people see our stuff, which is the goal of social media in the first place. So if you can do that for us, it is a free and easy way you can support the center. So there is that. Okay. I guess I should tell you what they are. Creative Life Spiritual Center, Creative Life Spark, and I am the Running Rev Ryan across all of the social medias that I am on. So there's that. Okay. Your spiritual power is, it says it right here, a collection. Basically, it's a library of some of Ernest Holmes' works that might be on the rare side. You might not find them anywhere else. And it turns out 3 of the books in here are actually collections of his Science of Mind magazine articles, which I think is really cool, which is why they have the tone, which is one of the ones, it's the one we are doing, and we are almost done. This is where we are. We don't have much left. So then I'm going to have to find a new book to read. We are doing Think Your Troubles Away, and we are starting part 2 today, The Creativity of Thought. So let's get on with it, I guess. No more dilly-dallying. I have a dentist appointment today, so I don't want to, got to go make sure my teeth are bright and sparkling clean. All right, so Think Your Troubles Away, part 2, The Creativity of Thought. So this is the intro. Whether you realize it or not, whether you believe it or not, it is demonstrable that your thoughts are creative in and of your experience. This being the case, what your patterns of thought have been becomes a matter of great importance. Yeah, we don't worry about the individual thoughts as much. We are more concerned with the pattern, the trend. In all likelihood, you have been creating without being aware of it, through the process of thoughts becoming things. Many situations and conditions in your experience which are definitely not too desirable. Any attempt to fully ascertain just why thoughts are creative is impossible. It is known and has been proved that they are. To go beyond this would be to penetrate the very nature and mystery of life itself. Although humanity's understanding of life is increasing, the finite could never encompass the infinite. So there is a need to accept the fact that thoughts are creative, then proceed to think in the most constructive manner possible. The following pages provide many valuable suggestions, ways, and means for the beneficial use of your power to think creatively. In your own mind lies the key that will open the door to the wealth of good things in life you desire and remove from your experience all unlike them. So, the first article is titled, Your Unlimited Possibilities. The possibility of this modern age existed at a time of prehistoric humanity. If there had been anyone then who knew how to build a gasoline engine and knew how to get gasoline, they would have had an automobile as far as the universe was concerned. In the evolution of our thought, humanity provides avenues through which infinite potentialities can come into being. Humanity does not create anything except the form, the shape, and the use. Everything else already is in nature and awaits humanity's discovery. Okay. That is just as true when it comes to the use of science of mind. That is why I have often said that the practice of science of mind does not involve concentration or willpower, as people think of those things. If it did, you couldn't use it. Okay. He definitely does have a different idea of concentration and will with science of mind. You know, it's not... It's what we would think of concentration and will is what I call white knuckling it. And there's no point in doing that because we can't. So let's get on with Ernest. It is most amusing, but very pathetic, to see people concentrate on something, willing, trying to compel something to be. It does not work that way. The individual is merely providing the avenue through which that which may express itself through the terms of its own nature. We do not will that electricity shall light a room. We provide a way for it to light the room. That's an interesting way to say that. The sooner we realize that this is true about the use of science of mind, the quicker we will demonstrate its effectiveness. Nobody understands exactly what mind is. I don't myself. I just know enough about it to know that it is, and something about how it works. How it works is the most marvelous thing in the world. It is the greatest discovery that was ever made by humanity. It taps the greatest resourcefulness that has ever been tapped, and it works whether we believe it or not. The thing, first of all, is to believe that it does. Some people believe it does just because they are told it's true, and that is fine. It makes no difference how we believe or for what reason, but belief is essential. There is no way to approach its use without belief. Okay, if one can accept it in the simplicity of a childlike faith, that is marvelous. But if a person cannot believe with that childlike simplicity, they are not hopeless either. I have found that the people who come disbelieving and unbelieving and contradicting and arguing, provided they have good intelligence, eventually have the best understanding. Conviction is what we need above everything else in science of mind. Okay. I do not care if a person is the best philosopher who ever lived, or the most highly trained scientist or psychologist or religionist. There is nothing in the use of science of mind that will contradict any positive fact they know. Therefore, we need not be afraid to approach the person who is full of common sense. When they begin to understand it, they will believe it. We start with the premise that absolute intelligence is fundamental. Just as I know I exist and I respond to you and you respond to me because of our intellect, or because of our intelligence, intelligence must recognize and must respond to itself. The only way in which intelligence can respond to itself is by corresponding with itself. That is why the ancients taught that life responds to us as we respond to it. Suppose we approach the use of science of mind with the desire of demonstrating success. And I am thinking of success from the broad-gauged viewpoint. A successful life must be happy, must be sure of itself, must be adequately provided for in what we call the material things, surrounded by as much beauty as it can appreciate. Friendship, which every normal person craves, and the experience of happiness and joy. There is no such thing as a successful person unless they are absolutely certain of themselves and of their destiny. There is no successful life without the complete conviction of the eternality of one's own consciousness. We must approach this understanding with belief, conviction, and flexibility. All right. We are not flexible enough with life. We fight it too hard. It may be true that up to certain periods in our evolution, we made progress by fighting, but after we have reached certain levels, we shall make more progress by acceptance. The universe does not strain. It produces of itself in peace. We are surrounded by pure intelligence, and we are a part of it. Intelligence responds to us directly, specifically, concretely, and personally. God is universal. Life is universal. But at the point where the consciousness of humanity contacts it, it becomes personal. Therefore, when we approach this principle of life, we should approach it not as something distant and far away, or something to which we petition. Jesus said, "Ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet at Jerusalem worship the Father. God is spirit, and they that worship it must worship it in spirit and in truth." He was talking to every living being. Therefore, it is not necessary that we go to some hallowed spot, to some sacred precinct, for spirit is within us. We can never find reality outside of ourselves. Consequently, the one wishing to demonstrate a specific good must turn to their own mind and their own thought, because their own mind and their own thought constitute the place where they are an individualized center of God consciousness. All we have to do is state our desire, believe it, and let it alone. The hardest thing any person has to do is to learn to trust the universe. We might say it should be the easiest thing to do, but it is not. We like to dabble with our request, pull our prayer back, give our spiritual mind treatment, and then steal it back to see if it is taking root. In the last analysis, a person must convince themselves that they are in league with the only power there is. Someone will say, why is the world situation as it is today, and how can it be worked out? Oops, sorry, hang on. Okay. I don't know what I did here. It would work out this way. It would work out this way. Everything is the result of intelligence and thought. All human conduct is a thing of thought acting itself out. Shakespeare said, the thought is ever father to the act. Okay. When the majority of the mentality of the world agrees about anything, that thing always happens. If the majority of people in the world were honest-minded, we would not have dishonesty. We will have what we call corruption and graft in public places until the minds of the majority of people are honest. Which time will not be while I would Which time will not be while I would take advantage of you or you would take advantage of me. But when that point in mind is reached, we will not have any more dishonesty. That's the future that Gene Roddenberry tried to show us. the possibility of. The universe springs to the response of the individual thought. But meantime, there is no law in the universe that says you and I, as individuals, have to wait until all the rest of the world catches up. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh thee. I believe that is true. Otherwise, we should be subject to a fate over which no individual would have control. The greatest power on earth today towards the stabilizing of the world is the individual, like you and me, who is thinking constructively. All right. I guess that's why we're always talking about tipping points. It's like the more of us who think constructively, eventually we will hit that tipping point and just tip all of humanity over into it. We must come to the consciousness that spirit wants to respond and does respond, and then we must accept it and accept it intelligently. What I mean by accepting it intelligently is this. If you will notice, you will see that everything in nature is definite. Nothing is chaotic. A seed always produces its kind. Even when there are definite combinations of specific things, the thing produced by the union of these two is another specific thing. This law of physics is also one of the greatest laws of metaphysics. What we put into a spiritual mind treatment, we know will come out of it, but we do not have to make the result. When we say we must put into a spiritual mind treatment what we want to come out of it, many people think that we must inject a positive force and energy against a reluctant force of nature and compel it to work. That is not so. If we put into the ground a corn kernel, we get corn. We do not have to make the corn come out of the soil. In fact, we could not do it. We have only to make it possible for the corn to be produced. If we had to put into our thought the force to make that thought effective or creative, we would be lost, for we would not know how to do it. The one giving the spiritual mind treatment believes that there is a power and presence that responds to their thought. No matter what all the world believes, no matter what anyone says, they must believe that this power directly and specifically responds to their word. As Jesus said, heaven and earth shall pass away, but my word shall not pass away. That is a conviction. First of all, we must have that same conviction, and if we do not have it now, we must go get it in the best way we can. I am not interested in the way. I am interested only in the fact that the way we choose shall finally get us to the conviction. We are to approach this presence simply and directly and easily because it is right within us. We can never get outside ourselves. We shall always be interior in our comprehension. I am here and it is also here. Having reached this conviction, we state what we would like the principle of life to do for us. We do not wish a good for ourselves that would not be good for other people. But good is right. Good cannot do evil. Abundance cannot hurt anybody. It is not going to hurt the rest of the world for you and me to have plenty. It is not going to hurt the rest of the world for you and me to be happy. Others around us need not think as we think. We do not have to watch the other fellow. There is something for us to watch. There is nothing for us to watch but ourselves. We will never see anything or experience anything else but ourselves. We believe all good is available to us. As much of that good comes to us as we are able to perceive. Therefore, in our spiritual mind treatment, we must definitely remove the thought that the good we desire is not for us. Good always exists, and disregarding anything to the contrary, we can experience it. Everything that we do and say and think is based upon the infinite availability of goodness, truth, and beauty. Therefore, everything that we do and say and think should prosper. Our thought must come to believe it, affirm it, state it definitely, and with faith until the mind comprehends what it means and is fully convinced of its own statements. Then a thought comes to the mind which says, but you haven't anyone to intercede for you, no influential person to make it possible for this good to come to you. Right here is where the mind must be alert and say, this word has nothing to do with influential people. This word out of itself makes what it states. A spiritual mind treatment becomes a mental entity in a spiritual world, just exactly as the kernel of corn in a physical entity is a physical entity in the creative force of nature, which we call the soil. The word which we speak in our spiritual mind treatment is complete and sure and has the means and processes of producing itself at the level of our recognition of it. Consequently, as our recognition of our word becomes greater, the results of our experience become broader. We should work consistently and definitely to convince ourselves that we are happy, surrounded by an environment of goodness and truth and beauty and friendship, of everything that makes life worthwhile. When you look for the good, you see the good. Our good is at hand. This is the day which it is received, if we accept it. When doubts, fears, and contradictions come up in the mind, we must consciously and definitely cast them out. We must remember that a thought is a thing. A thought that doubts good neutralizes a thought that affirms good, and vice versa. It does not matter what has happened or what conditions exist. We must still affirm with an ever-growing conviction that the active presence of good in our experience right now. We are dealing with the absolute, unconditioned causation right now, and in such a degree as our concept embraces this conviction, we are able to demonstrate the condition we desire and eliminate our problems and troubles. All right. That was fairly clinical. And I do appreciate that he kept saying, look, I don't know, and I don't really care. This, it's like, it's beyond me. And he says that. And he's like, look, it doesn't matter that we don't exactly understand how this works. The fact that we know it works is enough. And all we've got to do is accept it. So, yeah. Okay. So we will pick up tomorrow, and provided I get to go to the gym tomorrow, I should see you around 8:45. If I don't go to the gym, I'll see you around 9-ish. So using spiritual power is what we will pick up with tomorrow. All right. We're thinking our troubles away. Oh, I don't know what I'm about to do here. Hang on. Let me organize my thoughts. And I'm going to encourage you to have a great day, a wondrous day, a fantastic day, a magical day, an enchanted day, a wonderful day, an awesome day, an amazing day, a take care of yourself day, a catter day, a cuddle your fur babies day, a throw your windows open if the weather permits, because right here it does right now. So we've got the windows open this morning and enjoying the breeze. Enjoy the fog if you got it, because it's thick as pea soup out there. A listen to some good music day, a read something interesting day, a take a nap day, a take a break day, a take care of yourself day, a take care of your business day, a you got this day, a good day. And if that is too much pressure, because occasionally it is, simply have a day. You are enough just as you are. You are a beloved expression of the divine. You are spirit in motion, God in action, a beautiful masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time, a brilliant light and a divine spark. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. Explore the truth of your being. Get to know who the divine knows you to be, because the divine knows you to be good. And from there, anything is possible. Anything at all is possible. All right, beloveds. Okay, Reverend David should be on around 5 p.m. with you. I will be back with you around 9-ish tomorrow. 8:45, if I get to go to the gym. Take care of yourself. Know that you are loved, and I will see you next time.